and welcome to this great riding of Mississauga-Malton. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather today is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who have inhabited and cared for this land and continue to do so today. We are grateful for this opportunity to gather on this land, and by doing so, we give our respect to its first inhabitants. So how is everyone today? My name is Iquinder Gahir, and I'm running to be your local Member of Parliament. When I learned that we would gather here on the eve of the election, I thought hard about what I wanted to say and, more importantly, about why we gather here today. Today we gather because all of us believe that the task of making a better Canada continues. We continue because we believe that this project of Canada is not complete. We understand that although each of us will pursue our individual journeys, that our fates are tied, that our destiny is common, that we rise together or we fall divided. Rise together. Today we stand on the ground of Pearson Airport. For so many this is ordinary, but for so many in this room and for around the country, this was the beginning. Because for so many this was the first time they stepped foot on Canadian soil. They breathed Canadian air and set off in search of a better life. These folks, they recognized that Canada was special and they came in search of a Canadian dream. In Canada, you knew that if you worked hard, if you were responsible, if you looked after your family, that you could live that dream. That at the end of your working years, you could retire with dignity and respect and watch your kids exceed any dreams you may have had for them. I stand here in this moment to tell you that this dream is still alive. In fact, today we gather to reaffirm our conviction in that dream that although we are not complete and we may never be, that we have the hope to work towards a better future. That although we stumble at times, we have the courage to march towards a better end. That although the task in front of us is enormous, we have the conviction to face it head on. And despite the differences that we may have, most of us share the exact same hope. To affirm our moral obligation to that hope is why we gather here today. And so on Monday, I want you to get out and make your voices heard. Go and vote. Many new Canadians will cast that first ballot, and many young Canadians will be old enough to vote for the first time. Whether you are young or old, whether you landed here at Pearson Airport recently or you saw it being built, whether you are cheering for Canadian teams in the playoffs, or you're just cheering for Team Canada. If you can, go and vote. Thank you, Mississauga. Thank you. So I also have the honor of introducing the next speaker. The next speaker is my neighbor and your candidate for Mississauga-Streetsville, Richie Valdez. Let's give her a warm welcome. Thank you.
Well, 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 how are we doing today, Mississauga? Amazing. Thank you so much, Iquinder. It's really great to see everyone today. And can I just say, coming here on the bus, this bus that I was on was filled with so many new folks who this is your first rally. Raise of your hands today if this is the first time you've ever attended a rally. Yes. Thank you so much for showing up today. I can feel the excitement in this room, and I want to say thank you for your support, your trust, and your belief in the future that we're building together. It is the honor of my life to fight for this community, our community. I'm Richie Valdez, and I'm your Liberal candidate for Mississauga-Streetsville. I'm a proud mom of two, a former small business owner, and someone who's juggled work, family, and still dreamed of something better. I know what it's like to hustle and to stand up for what I believe in, and I know how much leadership matters, especially right now when times are tough. In a world full of challenges, from threats to our sovereignty, to the rising cost of living, to dealing with our housing crisis, Canadians, like all of us here, are looking for a leader who won't divide us with anger and empty slogans, but instead, we need a leader that stands up for Canada, who unites us and who builds solutions rooted in facts and not fear. Yes. I, along with all our federal Liberal candidates today, stand proudly with Prime Minister Mark Carney. Prime Minister Mark Carney knows what's at stake for families like ours. He's faced economic crises on the world stage and delivered stability and hope when it mattered most. This campaign isn't about tearing things down, it's about building safer communities, stronger families, and a Canada that stands tall on the world stage. So every time I knock on your doors and I hear your hopes and dreams, it reminds me that politics should always be about people. People like us in this room and who are watching today, about making life better for families like yours and mine. And friends, we are gathered here today. The man who will lead us there with experience, with vision, with heart is here with us tonight and today. So, this wouldn't be a rally without a good cheer, am I right? Yeah. All right, so here we go. I want full participation in this room. When I say elbows, you say up. Elbows, up. Elbows. Up. When I say Canada, you say strong. Canada, strong. Canada. Strong. When I say Mark, you say Carney. Mark. Carney. Mark. Carney. Last time, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. April 28th, vote Liberal.
This election is different than any election, certainly in my lifetime, because it's about who's going to stand up best for President Trump in this trade war. It's about who is going to build this U.S. economy. Fundamentally, it's about what it means to be Canadian. But the reason we want a strong economy is so that everyone in Canada has what they need, is supported, is able to live their full lives. And that's what's at stake. So it's, are we coming together for a better Canada, or is it everyone for themselves? I prefer that we come together to build a better country.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Rishi and Ikwinda. Thank you to everyone who's here today. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Diana Fox Carney. And I'm so happy to be here in Mississauga to tell you more about someone that I know well and you've been getting to know over these past few weeks. And I want to start by acknowledging that we're in difficult times. We've got a plane coming in. We face a constantly shifting environment. But amidst all of this, thankfully, the one thing that remains constant is my husband, your Liberal Party leader. Through thick and thin, Mark remains steadfast and dedicated. He's tireless and always ready to rise to a challenge. And in fact, rising to a challenge is something of a defining feature of Mark. When faced with adversity, he hits the ground running. He is adaptable. he's agile, and he's calm and cool under fire. And he's able to draw an incredible memory and a depth and breadth of experience that really is second to none. He tells me that one source of his mental agility is the training he received, all those hours he spent on the ice as a hockey goalie growing up in Edmonton and beyond. He's always ready. And though he doesn't spend as much time on the ice these days, he still has annoyingly fast reactions. And I say annoyingly because we've played a lot of pickup hockey together, and I've never managed to get one past him. So in hockey, as in the rest of his life and his work, nothing seems to get by him. I am incredibly proud of my partner, Mark. And as a Canadian, I'm incredibly grateful that he is standing strong for our country. Mark and I and the incredible team that support us have crisscrossed this country, and we've met wonderful people just like you, and we're really grateful for that. And I've watched my husband listen and learn, and I've seen that he will never waver in his commitment to make this great country better, stronger, and more unified for everyone. So I have been fortunate to count on Mark for 30 years. Now you can count on him too. I'm lucky to have him. We're lucky to have him. Without further ado, let me welcome my husband, your Prime Minister, Mark Carney.
Hello, everyone. Hello, bonjour. Salut, bonjour. Ah ouais, donc. Carney. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Well, let me start. Better not forget. I forgot last time. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Diana, for a lot of things, actually, but thank you for reading that introduction that I wrote. Thank you, Diana, for all of your work on this campaign. Diana has been out knocking on doors, hammering in signs, making phone calls, helping us win this election. Commitment and passion. It is fantastic to be in Mississauga, this part of Mississauga. I've never been in this part of Mississauga before, but for so many people who come to our country, Mississauga is their first glimpse of Canada. And it is no wonder that so many of them end up staying right here, because Mississauga is the perfect example of what makes Canada so great, what makes Canada strong. Community, diversity, solidarity, and home to 6 amazing Liberal candidates that we need to send to Ottawa. We need to send to Ottawa. Vive le Canada, absolument vive le Canada. Cette élection. I have a question. Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me? On sort les coudes. And who's ready to help the Liberal Party win the most consequential election of our time? Oh, that makes me feel good. We need you. We need you because President Trump's trade war has literally ruptured the global economy and he has betrayed Canada, America's neighbor, America's closest friend and most steadfast ally. That is what he's done. Now, shame, and this is a tragedy, but it's also our new reality. This is a time for serious leadership, and this is a time This is a time. This is a time. It's a time for serious leadership. It's a time to come together and unite as a country because we need to fight, we need to protect, and we need to build. Elbows up. We need to fight Trump's tariffs with counter tariffs of our own that cause maximum damage in the United States with minimum impact here. We need to protect our workers using every single dollar we collect from those tariffs. And above all, we need to build Canada strong. We need to build Canada strong. Building Canada strong will require big changes, and I'm ready to make them. I'm not a career politician. I'm not a career politician, but I am. You have to go. There's a career politician on the ballot as well if you want a career politician, but I am a pragmatist. And as a pragmatist, when I see that something's not working, I change it. And that's exactly what I did as soon as I became Prime Minister. Homes in Mississauga, homes in Ontario, homes across Canada become too expensive. So we cut taxes on them. And we did more. We set out a strategy to build twice as many homes every year for decades in Canada using Canadian technology, Canadian skilled trades, Canadian lumber. We saw that the capital gains tax hike was stifling the builders and innovators that we need, so we got rid of it. We saw that the consumer carbon tax had become too divisive, so we eliminated it on day one, saving it. Now we're going to get the big polluters. The big polluters to pay you for saving energy, pay you for home retrofits, pay you for more efficient heating. Et nous avons élargi l'accès au régime canadien de soins dentaires pour que 5 millions de Canadiens de plus en bénéficient. C'est ça. Nous avons renforcé. Ça suffit, hein? Nous avons. Merci. OK. Arrête. Un instant. On continue. Nous avons renforcé nos relations avec l'Union européenne, la France et le Royaume-Uni, pour que nos exportateurs soient moins dépendants des États-Unis. Now, at the end of my first week as Prime Minister, against some people's judgment, I brought together all the premiers to agree to eliminate the barriers to trade and labor mobility inside our country. Unanimous, unanimous. And at the end of the night, I thought to myself, when's the last time they agreed on anything? Except for hating the federal government. But they agreed because we are in a crisis and we need one Canadian economy, not 13. And my government, if we are elected, we will do our part. We will get rid of all federal barriers by July 1st, free trade in Canada by Canada Day. So in 9 days, as a new government, we did more than Pierre Poilievre has imagined in his decades in politics. And that's assuming he does have an imagination and doesn't just mimic Donald Trump. Which is, I'm just saying, I'm just observing what I've seen. Now, just imagine what we could do together over the next few years with a strong, positive mandate in this election. And that's what we need. That's what Canada needs. Canada needs a strong, positive government because, as he made clear, just again in the last few days, President Trump is trying to break us so America can own us. Is that going to happen? No. Ever? No. It will never, ever happen. Now, Canadians are over the shock of that betrayal, and that is what it is. It is a betrayal. We are over the shock of the betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves. And we have to take care of each other. You know, Canadians didn't ask for this fight, but we are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. Wasn't a good idea. And in this trade war, just like in hockey, we will win. Now, like many, that's the spirit. That's the spirit. It's my family. Like many of you, hockey has played a big part of my life. And I grew up with the values I learned at the kitchen table, in the classroom, and on the ice. My parents were teachers, and they stressed the importance of working hard, of supporting our community, and of caring for other people. And my hockey coaches taught me to play hard, to be ambitious, and because this is Canada, to stay humble. These are Mississauga values. These are Canadian values. Et je me suis appuyé sur ces valeurs quand j'ai géré des crises au Canada et à l'étranger. Et aujourd'hui, je m'appuie sur elles pour faire face au président Trump et bâtir une économie renouvelée où tous peuvent réussir. Now, there's someone else. There's someone else, Pierre Poilievre, doesn't get any of this, and I've seen this movie around the world. There's a type of lifelong politician who worships at the altar of the free market despite never having actually worked in the private sector. Made a payroll. It's the kind of politician, and he brags on this, who has never changed his mind since he was 17. Anyone here over 17? I see a few of you might. Have you learned anything in the last few decades? I've learned a few. Instead, Pierre relies on his reflex to always cut and divide and to rhyme. But we need slogans. We don't need slogans. We need solutions. We don't need chaos. We need calm. We don't need anger. We need an adult, and we need action. That's right. You got it. You got it. I'm auditioning for the role as adult in this. The politics of slogans and anger and chaos are dividing, and they are weakening the Americans. So we will win this battle. We will win this battle if we are united and strong. And you know, it is our strength that the Americans want. They want our resources. They want our water. They want our land. They want our country. Never, never, never. They can't have our country because Canada is not America. America is a melting pot. Canada, look at this crowd. Look at this crowd. We are all Canadians. We are all diverse. We're all distinct. Canada is a mosaic. In America, healthcare is a big business. In Canada, it is a right. Aux États-Unis, on ne reconnaît pas les différences. On ne reconnaît pas les peuples autochtones. Et il n'y aura jamais de droit pour la langue française. Les États-Unis ne sont pas le Canada n'en fera jamais partie, jamais. Canada will never, ever be part of the United States. Jamais. C'est ça. Okay. So we have that sorted out. And the question is, what do we do? Well, in a crisis, the first thing you have to do is to prepare for the worst, not hope for the best. You have to distinguish between what you can change and what you can't. And, you know, after 78 years, I don't think we can change President Trump. So we need a leader. We need a leader who can stand up to him. Say so. Le Canada a besoin d'un leader qui comprend que nous sommes maîtres chez nous. We can and we will control our economic destiny with the right plan. Because in a crisis, plan beats no plan. And to succeed in a crisis, you have to act with overwhelming force to overcome the anxieties that people naturally feel, to break through the fog of uncertainty that businesses face, and to replace what the crisis is taking away. That's what our plan for Canada Strong will do. Our plan starts with the government spending less of your hard-earned taxes so that Canadians can invest more. The core of our plan is to build, baby, build. On va bâtir notre plan va bâtir des millions de logements, une superpuissance énergétique, de bonnes carrières dans les emplois spécialisés, des nouveaux corridors commerciaux avec des nouveaux partenaires fiables autour du monde. Our plan Our plan will usher in a new era of investment, jobs and growth, creating over $20,000 in new growth for every Canadian over the next 5 years. That's making Canada strong. That's making us strong together. And Pierre Poilievre, it's become clear, day after day, has no plan. No plan to stand up to President Trump. Literally grasping at straws. Thank God we're going to deal with that big issue first on plastic straws, and then we're going to face the gravest crisis of our lifetimes. He's offering Canadians a fantasy of fiscal tricks and growth. He's ignoring the investments we need to build the strongest economy that works for everyone. He's surrendering, literally surrendering in the fight against climate change. He wants to cut what Canada needs and Canadians value: childcare, dental care, pharmacare, the CBC. He has a bring it home tax cut that is literally never home. It does not arrive for 4 years. That is after President Trump is due to leave office. Ours shows up on Canada Day, $825 off for every family. You see, unlike Pierre Poilievre, I have managed budgets before. I've managed economies before. I have managed crises before. And I know that in a crisis, you build forward, not cut back. In a crisis, it's time to come together, not to sow division. I know that this is a time for experience, not experiments. I know we can give each other far more than the Americans can ever take away. And I know that as America retreats from the world, Canada will lead it. Now, before I wrap up, I want to say a few words about why we as Liberals, why we as Canadians, why we care about having a strong economy. It's not about the numbers. It's because we care about people. It's because we go back. We go right back to that value of community here in Mississauga, in Edmonton, across the country. That value of community that we all share. Because we know that we are all in this together. That's why my government will stand behind $10 a day daycare. That's why we expanded dental care to 8 million Canadians. That's why we will make major investments in health care, in mental health care, particularly for youth, and for the treatment of addictions. Because we're all in this together, my government is committed to working in real partnership with Indigenous peoples. This is a critical election. And some people on both sides of the border claim we're not a real country. Well, they couldn't be more wrong. Canada is more than a nation. We are a confederation. We are a sacred set of ideas and ideals built on practical foundations. That we know that we're not perfect, but we always strive to be good. That we do things not because they're easy, but because they are right. We know that much of our strength comes from our resolve to work together, to work in unity. And united, we have done hard things, seemingly impossible things throughout our history. United, we have built one nation in harsh conditions with a sometimes hostile neighbor. United, we have confronted our own past with Indigenous peoples. Unis, nous avons bâti un pays qui rassemble des langues, des cultures et des croyances différentes. Unis, nous avons bâti des institutions culturelles essentielles comme Radio-Canada. United. United, we have created universal public health care. And now, united, we are buying Canadian. We are exploring everything our country has to offer. We are supporting our friends and neighbors in the crosshairs of the Americans and President Trump. United, we are standing up for Canada. United, we will win this trade war. We will build the strongest economy in the G7 that works for everyone. That's why I'm standing here in front of you. Canada, I'm here today because Canada has given me everything. My family, my education, and my values. And in return, I'm ready to give everything to Canada. But for me to do so, and here is the ask always comes at the end, here is the ask, for me to do so, I need your help. On Monday, the people of Mississippi, people of Greater could decide who is Canada's Prime Minister. There are only 2 days left. 2 days left in this campaign. It's a good, that's right. There are only 2 days left to campaign. It's the equivalent of the last 2 minutes left in the third period of Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals. Something Toronto Maple Leafs fans may be about to experience. It is time. But it is time to leave everything on the ice. And that means I need you supporters to knock on a few more doors. I need you to make a few more phone calls. I need you to talk to friends, to families, to neighbors. And above all, I need you to vote Liberal so we can protect values that we share, that we can stand up to Donald Trump, build a Canada united, build a Canada strong. Vive le Canada. Merci. Thank you very much.